So you have a scene you working on, whether it's interior or exterior, and you want to make the surface look wet. It's actually easy. For example, this bathroom scene, which we made in a previous video. If we want to adjust the floor and make it look wet in some parts, maybe under the tub, or around the toilet and the sink area, we can do that with simple steps. First, let me isolate the floor, and as you see, the material we have on this is just a color. However, the method we have will work on any material. So the basic idea here is, we need to make a copy of all the nodes before the material output and adjust the new copy to make it look wet. Then mix it with the original node set. Now to do that, select both the BSDF and the ambient color, then hit Shift D to copy them. In this new BSDF, we need to increase the specular value to max, and make the roughness on minimum value. So I will make the specular on 1 and give the roughness around 0.05 on value. The other thing we need to do is make the color or the texture we have. The one goes into the BSDF base color darker in shade, and we do that by adding a gamma node and give it a value higher than 1. It often goes around 1.4 to 1.6 to mimic wet surface. However, I will make it on 2 just to keep it clear. To mix those two BSDF nodes, you can add a mix and connect them manually, or if you have the node wrangler on, and you should, just hold Shift and Control keys, then with the right mouse button, connect those two nodes. The surface now contains some of the wet effect we made, so to adjust it, we have the factor. Sliding the factor from 0 to 1 will take you from full rough to full wet. To control this with texture paint, we will add an image texture in the factor input, then hit the new button on it. We will keep the dimension on default since we only have color. However, if you have a texture in the BSDF, make sure to adjust it accordingly. So for example, if you have a 4K texture of wood floor, make the factor texture on 4K as well, and once you're done, name it something stupid and hit OK.
YEET? What's a YEET?
YEET!
Now before we go into texture paint, just make sure to UV unwrap the surface you're working on, and a mesh like this can be easily unwrapped with cube projection, smart UV unwrap, and even project from view, so do that depending on the mesh you have. Another thing to mention is, sometimes Blender crashes on texture paint if you have big scenes or a file that you've been working on for a while, and I find it helpful to disconnect the image texture from the factor while painting. I really don't know why, but it helped in my case, so keep it in mind. Once you go to texture paint, and since we have an empty texture, it will display in 2 colors, white and black, and in our case black means the first shade in the mix, the rough floor, while white will go as wet areas. So, just take the brush, edit the radius, and paint on this surface. Once you're done playing Picasso, go back to the layout and reconnect the texture to the factor, and that's the basic of it. A wet bathroom floor will make more sense than dry one, so next time you need something like this, remember those 4 steps: specular on max, roughness on minimum, dark shade and some texture paint. See you guys next time, stay sharp, goodbye.